What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. I'm not going to make the usual intro because it's 5 a.m. in the morning, a Saturday. Yeah, I'm sick in the head. But yeah, I wanted to make this video for you, and it's going to be about an update of my program. Basically, what I have realized is that the traps and the biceps are my weak points, and I decided to modify the program to correct those weak points, right? Um, Also, on top of that, I implemented um, another system for my exercise selection and to prevent overuse and to rotate through lifts in a way that it feels flexible enough, but also establishes some parameters that allow me to keep some kind of structure. Also, I'm going to talk about a new concept, which is flowing supersets, which you probably have been doing intuitively by yourself if you do supersets, right? So, without further delay, we can start. I named this program update, quote unquote, the Devil's Gate. I'm going to make sure to definitely upload this one to the link tree. I'm not going to miss it. So we're going to go down, and as you can see, the exercises are almost the same, um, but um, they are presented in a different way. So the first thing you're going to be able to see is that the bicep work and the tricep work is going to be put first as a priority. Why? Because I want to grow my arms. Does it make sense to put isolation first? Yes, if it's going to be a muscle group that you prioritize. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with starting off with isolation. I know a lot of people, especially if you follow the hierarchy of intensity, that being you start off with the lower rep ranges, and as the session goes by, you increase it. Um, I think that's a fair way of doing it, but to me, priority is more important than intensity, if that makes sense, or following that order of intensity. So what I do is I start off with warm-up movements, that being the one-arm ring curls and one-arm band pushdowns, um, and then once I feel my elbows are properly warmed up, I move on to more weighted stretch movements. Um, and that's where you see that I have, instead of sets per exercise, I have total sets. What this means, if you have watched my other videos, is that you can basically do you have to do the total sets, but um, the exercise proportion doesn't have to be 1-to-1. It can be, for example, 3 sets. Let's say I do 4 sets. It can be 3 sets of one-arm ring curls and then 1 set of pelican curls, or it can be 1 set of one-arm ring curls and then 3 sets of pelican curls. The same goes with the one-arm band pushdowns, but it follows the order that is indicated. So I first have to do at least 1 set of, well, that happened. Well, you basically have to follow at least 1 set of the first movement to then move on to the second one. And that is to ensure that I warm up properly. Because, for example, for the ring extensions, my elbow is a bitch. And I think that for most people, ring extensions are going to be tough on the elbows if you don't warm up. But if you warm up enough, you're basically going to be perfectly fine. I have very sensitive elbows, and when I warm up, I don't have any type of issue. I don't have any type of issue doing ring extensions. So what I do is, again, a warm up movement I usually do 2 sets, and then I move on to 2 sets of the other movements. Then we have what I call the new concept, which is going to be a flowing superset. Um, so basically what this means is you try to pair up movements in a way that don't interfere with one another, while still doing the required amount of volume for each one. So you can think of it as baskets, right? With fruit. So you first put in a basket apples and oranges, right? But you have some oranges left over. You put the oranges in the other basket, and then you put, I don't know, pears on the other basket, right? But then you have pears left over. So what you do, you grab the pears, you put it in another basket, and you pair that up with peaches, for example, and so on and so forth. That basically allows you to save a lot of time because usually when people do supersets, they do, for example, horizontal press and let's just say vertical pull, right? So they do pull-ups and push-ups, for example, and once they run out of, for example, let's say push-ups, they keep doing the pull-ups but by themselves. Instead, what you're going to do in this case is going to be push-ups and pull-ups, and once you run out of push-ups, you pair that up with the vertical pressing. In this case, ring pike push-ups. You wouldn't pair, of course, the push-ups and push-ups, so you pair push-ups and pulls, and then you pair the remaining pulls, of the total sets. Let's say I do 3 sets of full RTO push-ups and 6 sets of pull-ups, right? I do 3 sets, and then I do 3 sets of the push-ups and 3 sets of the pull-ups. But I have 3 sets remaining of the pull-ups. What do? I pair those 3 remaining sets with the ring pike push-ups, and that's how you do a flowing superset. You basically um, pair up movements, and the remaining movement you pair that up with another movement that it's not going to interfere with that movement, right? I hope I made sense. Then we have the third superset, which is going to be leg raises. And then we have rear delt slash upper back movement. Again, the focus of this update is to tell you I'm going to try to grow my traps as much as possible. And the same goes with my biceps because my triceps have taken over a fair bunch. And also the brachialis. So I'm going to always start my days with arm work, basically, either curls by themselves or curls and tricep movements. So that's the first day. Nothing changed in general. As you can see, I just have um, different options. So one week I could do, like, for example, 3 sets of one arm ring curls and then 1 set of pelican curls. Then the next week I could do the opposite. The next week I could do 2 and 2. The next one I can do 3 and 2, and so on. So it can vary a lot. That's what I meant by flexibility. But at the same time, it's still the same movements. I'm still getting the same, let's just say, movement pattern in, right? So I don't lose any type of neurological connection with the movement. I think that's a benefit of doing it this way, and it also keeps training fresh. So one day, again, if you don't feel like doing a lot of full RTO push-ups, you just do 1 set to absolute failure, and then you move on to the second variation, which is going to allow you to go higher rep and get a different stimulus. And then you can do the opposite the next session or whatever. It allows you for a lot of flexibility, and it keeps, again, training fresh and training fun. That's the first day. Nothing really changed a lot. Now we move on to the lower one, which is where most changes are going to be seen. Not a lot, but again, changes nonetheless. So we start off with the first superset, which is going to be shrugs, followed by power shrugs. It's going to be 3 to 5 sets of 5 to 8 reps strict, and then I do the power shrugs, as many reps as possible, and then I hold it for time. I know it's insane, but you wouldn't believe the amount of trap DOMs you get, and I think it's very beneficial. Uh, Basically, the traps grow greatly from weighted stretch. So if you want to grow the upper traps, especially, definitely you have to incorporate shrugging and weighted stretching. And this is the best way to do it with a trap bar. I like to do it with a trap bar. Then I pair that up with hammer curls, either regular or leaning away. The leaning away variation is a variation that I got recommended by, if you remember the first program review that I did of subscribers, Franco Lifts, we were basically at the gym and he was like, hey, watch this. And like he was doing the movement and I was like, yo, that's actually pretty cool. So yeah, 8 to 15 on each side is a really good movement, very grindable. It gives you a nasty forearm pump. So I really recommend it, and it's very comfortable on the wrist as well. So highly recommend it. We paired that up, of course, with calf raises because why not? Always you can add calf raises, add them. It's going to allow you to rest more time for the compounds, not cardiovascularly taxing, and it gives you big calves, which almost no one has. So yeah, be the top 1%. VS Magma Male. Now we move on to the second superset, which is going to be drop or deadlift, or Soviet rows. If I want more teres major, more rhomboid, stuff like that, I'm going to be doing Soviet rows, which is still a hinge, but it gives you a lot of upper back work as well. The drop or deadlift, the way I do them is I do low bar drop or deadlift, and in each rep, I go up, I do a shrug, I hold it for a second to let it stretch, and then I go down, and I repeat that until I fail. Now, as you can see on the reps for the drop or deadlift, I'm going to be using reps in reserve, so the reps can remain static with no issue. So I'm probably going to be 3 to 2 reps in reserve approximately. Sometimes I might delve into 1 rep in reserve just to push the effort a little bit higher. Then for the Herzoviak rows, I have the rep ranges because I tend to lose a lot of reps on each subsequent set because I'm not afraid of pushing this specific movement to failure because it's really comfortable to push to failure. And also you get a nasty stretch, so I really recommend it. We pair that up with easy bar neck work. Now, you have to really try easy bar neck work. It feels like a machine in a way because it feels comfortable. You don't have to balance like a dumbbell on top of your head or a plate, which cuts out the range of motion. And it's not that awkward to set up, especially for the curls. For the extensions, you're gonna have to improvise a little bit. I like to lay on the bench, um, secure myself with my feet. I'm not shitting you. Then I put my head in front of the bar, and then I do a quick lift to put it on top of my skull, or not on top of my skull. Like it's the bridge between the neck and the skull, something like that. And then I do the extensions like that. Because it's not a lot of weight, it's 10 plate on each side, and then the bar I think weighs like 5 kilograms, something like that. So 25 kilograms, not that much. So I can do that perfectly. When the weights get heavier, I'm going to have to figure some things out. Well, after that, I follow that by deficit T-bar rows coupled with decline sit-ups or leg raises. This is just to accumulate more back volume. Deficit T-bar rows are a great back movement in my opinion. Um, you get a nasty stretch. The contraction is fine, but the best part is the stretch. Like it's unbelievable. It's really hard, and it has the benefit over barbell rows that it has like a pseudo fixed path, but at the same time it allows for freedom of movement. Also, you can adjust where you put the D handle uh, to accommodate to change the resistance curve. The further away you are from the bar, I feel the weighted stretch is bigger, but the closer you go to the bar, right, the more homogeneous it feels. So you can play around with that, but it feels great on the upper back, on the lats, on everything. So really good movement. The arm day that I do at home hasn't changed that much. It's just adding the pelican curls here with the one arm ring curls to warm up and then to execute the pelican curls. Nothing else to add here, so we're going to move on. The upper two is similar to, it has floating supersets as I previously explained, and then it has ring face pulls and twist leg raises. Nothing else. Also, chest shredder push-ups are goated. It's basically a barrel press with the rings. You do a barrel press, and then as you go down, once you reach a certain point in which it gets a little bit uncomfortable on the shoulders, you rotate till you are like supinated at 45 degrees, so a mix between supinated and neutral. And you pause for a second, and then you go up while remaining in that supinated 45-degree position. Absolutely brutal. Highly recommended. The same goes with wide grip pull-ups. What I said about the deficit T-bar rows, the stretch is insane, and it's really challenging. I highly recommend you incorporating wide grip pull-ups. Then we move on to the second lower day, which is basically the exact same. Only we have good mornings or our Soviet rows, depending if I feel fatigued or not. Again, hammer curls. This is basically just the same thing, just changing this exercise. Not that complicated. Then we move on to the second arm day, in which we have 6 to 8 total sets of these movements right here for the triceps. Basically, we start off either with a overload variation, is what I call, a warm-up variation, which is the reverse cable pushdowns. which I go not higher reps, but it's more comfortable on the elbows, or it's more stable, which allows me to really get the triceps fired up for the day. If I don't want to do this movement, I can always do easy bar extensions, which for me at least don't hurt my elbows like at all. Then for the second movement in priority, we have cable extensions, either cable extensions leaning away or easy bar extensions. Again, I can really spam the shit out of that movement. I think that my tendons have gotten pretty strong after doing a lot of body weight extensions. And then for the remaining sets, I'm going to be doing less taxing quote unquote variation, although it's isolation. It's going to be either cable extensions in a vertical position or the dips machine. Now, the dips machine, the way you want to do it is you want to allow, like, think of it as a sissy squat with your elbows. Or when you did, the bench dips, you have to think it kind of like that. Basically, you let the elbow break behind you, right? As you basically retract the scapula on the machine and let the elbows break. So you get that nasty tricep stretch. Then you push however you want to, and then you repeat. It's absolutely brutal. Then we have preacher machine curls. Really good movement, in my opinion. Gives you a nice stretch. It warms up the area properly. It's grindable. It's comfortable. So, and I really don't like regular preacher curls that much compared to this one. So I prefer the machine all the time. And then after that, we have spider curls or easy bar curls. Two movements that I am not really a big fan of, but I recognize that they are good for progression, especially the easy bar curls, because it has a higher loading potential. So yeah, that's why I added it. And I put it after the preacher machine curls, so I don't have to use that much weight. So I don't go off balance when trying to grind the reps. If you have done easy bar curls, you know what I mean. Like trying to grind a heavy set of easy bar curls is a pain in the ass and a pain in the lower back. So um, just joking, but like for real, when you're trying to grind that easy bar curl, have to stabilize a lot. Um, Really not a big fan of that, but if you use little weight, then it feels very comfortable. We pair that up again with tempo skiers or cheated skiers, depending on what I want that specific day. And basically, what I do is go all out and then do more cheated reps in the case of the cheated skiers, and in the tempo skiers, just straight up cheated reps, all of them with slow eccentrics. And yeah, basically fries your rear delts. It's a really good movement. Then we have a random back movement for the day, whatever it is. It's just to add more lat volume, 3 sets of 10 to 15. I could carry the fat grip pull-ups here, but like the fat grips to do fat grip pull-ups, but in my country, if you if you have something, it is at a high risk of it being stolen. So prefer not to. Then we have face pulls, decline sit-ups, and twist leg raises. So as you can see, the program hasn't changed that much, but I have incorporated some core concepts that may help you with your own programming, especially the total sets one. It allows for really good flexibility, for a really good way of mixing things up and to ensuring joint health and preventing overuse. So I'm going to leave you guys with this today. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave me your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.